Welcome students. Today we are going to study the second topic of biology, reproduction in lower and higher animals. Before we get into the details of the process of reproduction, we must know which are lower animals and which are higher animals. In previous standard, we have studied animal classification in which non-chordates are referred as lower animals and chordates are referred as a higher animals. All living organisms shows vital life processes like nutrition, respiration, circulation, reproduction, coordination, etc. Out of these, reproduction is one of the major life process. Then what is reproduction? Reproduction is a biological process of formation of new life from pre-existing life. Every organism produces offsprings or progeny of their own type and maintains continuity of the species over longer period of time on earth even though they have short lifespan. Now we get into methods of reproduction. In animals, reproduction occurs by main two methods, that is asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. First one, asexual reproduction. It is common methods amongst lower animals, that is in phylum Porifera, Coelenterata, Platyhelminthes. They shows asexual reproduction. It does not involve meiosis. What is meiosis? Meiosis is a type of cell division by which gamete formation occurs. Here, gamete formation and fusion is absent. Therefore, this type of reproduction shows presence of only mitotic cell division and only single parent take part in this type of reproduction, so called as uniparental. Both parent does not take part in this type of reproduction, so called as asexual reproduction. The progeny obtained by this type of reproduction is genetically identical to their parent, so called as clones. The lower animals reproduce asexually by gemmule formation, budding, regeneration, etc. First one, gemmule formation. The gemmule formation occurs during unfavorable condition. It is an internal bud formed only in sponges. It shows two types of cells, amoebocytes and archaeocytes. It has asexually produced mass of archaeocyte cells. The archaeocyte cells having ability to develop into new organism, and second type of cell, that is amoebocyte cell, secretes thick layer around the archaeocyte cells. Then gemmule hatch and develops into new individual. One of the example is spongilla. See here in this diagram, gemmule shows presence of outer and inner layer. Inside the inner layer there is presence of mass of archaeocyte cells. It is blue in color and it is externally covered by a secretion of amoebocyte cells. So these gemmules are formed by these two types of cells, that is archaeocyte cells and amoebocyte cell. These gemmules are developed during unfavorable condition and again returns of the favorable condition it hatch into new organism. One of the example is spongilla. The next type of reproduction is budding. It is simple method of asexual reproduction. It occurs during favorable condition. It is seen in variety of animals like coelentrates, ascidians, etc. In hydra, a small outgrowth is produced towards basal end of the body. Then it develops as a bud. It grows and forms a tentacles, and then this young hydra get detached from the parent hydra, becomes an independent new hydra. The next type of reproduction, that is regeneration. It is a process by which organism can repair or regrow its lost part. It is differ from asexual reproduction because only damaged hydra or wounded planaria can regenerate their lost parts, or it is also called as asexual reproduction because in planaria, by this reproduction or by fragmentation, two animal divides into two parts and these two parts get developed into new planaria. During fragmentation, planaria divides into two parts by constriction at the middle part. The splitted parts again develops into new planaria. They are identical with their parents, so called as clones. In this way, we have completed the process of asexual reproduction in lower animals. Now we get into sexual reproduction in animals. It is the process which involves the production of offsprings by formation and fusion of gametes. Hence it is called as amphimixis. Both meiosis and mitosis occurs during this type of reproduction. Sexually reproducing animal shows main two phases in their lifespan. First one, juvenile phase, and second one, reproductive maturity phase. In juvenile phase, physical growth occurs. It starts from birth, and in this phase, animal cannot reproduce sexually. Whereas in second phase, reproductive maturity phase, it starts after completion of physical growth. It involves growth and activity of the sex organs, and the animal can produce sexually in this phase. Then various events occur after sexual maturity, that is pre-fertilization event, fertilization event, and post-fertilization events. There are two types of breeding patterns occurs in animals. One is seasonal breeding and another is continuous breeding. The animal which breeds during a specific season called as seasonal breeders. One of the example is goat, and animals which breeds during entire year or in any season called as continuous breeders. One of the example is human or ape. Then we get into differences between sexual and asexual reproduction. See here, first difference, the asexual reproduction requires only single parent, so called as uniparental reproduction, whereas sexual reproduction shows presence of two parents, so called as biparental reproduction. In asexual reproduction, gamete formation and fusion is absent there, and in case of sexual reproduction, gamete formation and fusion is present. It involves mitosis only. In case of asexual reproduction, only mitotic division occurs, and in sexual reproduction, both type of cell division, that is mitosis and meiosis, occurs. By asexual reproduction, offsprings are formed, are genetically identical with their parent, and they shows absence of variation as well as evolution. But in case of sexual reproduction, offsprings are not genetically identical with their parents. Therefore, they shows variation, and after many years, may evolution occurs. So these are the various differences between sexual and asexual reproduction. In this lecture, we studied types of reproduction, various methods of asexual reproduction, and the differences between sexual and asexual reproduction. In next lecture, I will be explaining about human reproduction. Thank you.